CM 365, all about Carnatic music. Music is a soothing and satisfying medium, crossing all the barriers of language. In fact, we could say that music itself is a language functioning successfully by the help of a special semantics all its own. And it is this that makes it universally appealing, and music cuts the barriers in cultures and even in the listening experience. Now, why am I saying this about the listening experiences? For example, suppose you get to hear a great exemplary performance of a composition of Beethoven. This can make you actually emotionally ecstatic, as much as you would feel the same way when you are hearing a O Rangashayi of Sri Tyagarajar or a Rangapura Vihara of Muthuswami Dikshidhar. So here the point is, how is it possible for us to be emotionally stirred on hearing this composition of Beethoven the same way as we are used to listening to a composition of Tyagarajar or Dikshidhar? Now, here the points of consideration, the first thing is of course that the language here is totally a foreign one, a language which we are not able to understand at all. The second thing is about the voice culture, if it's a vocal performance, the voice culture, or if it's an instrumental performance, the instrumental techniques are also different to what we are actually aware of through the system of Carnatic music. If you look at the way in which the notes are oscillated, the gamakas that we are familiar with, that is totally absent in the system of the Western music. And there the harmony which underlies the whole system is extremely complex for us to understand also. Yet, in spite of all these hurdles, we are able to enjoy the music for what it is. And that is because of the influence of music in general itself. Now, coming to the influence of one system of music on the another, this has been there for a long time, especially in the Carnatic music system. We see how the other systems like Hindustani music or folk music or Western music have had quite a deep impact on the system itself. But here we must remember that it is to the credit of the influenced rather than the influencing system. And it is only because of the broad base and enormous potential of the influence system to accept, absorb, and nativize or localize and fully own the musical ingredients, ideas, and overall aesthetic content of the influencing system of music itself. Which means that suppose Carnatic music is getting influenced by some aspects of Western music or Hindustani music, it means that our system has got a very strong base, that it has got the capacity to absorb all these elements, make them its very own, adapt, adopt, and then totally, try to evolve something beautiful out of it. So it's not like bits and pieces of other systems are getting into the system and they remain fragmented. They become one whole, and that is the beauty of Carnatic music. And here we see that because of the system here, it accepts from another system because of the confidence in continuing to remain like itself even after such an influence. This is very, very important, because if the roots are not strong and if you feel that the influence of some other system is going to shake the very roots, then there is no point in this adaptation process. So what is very interesting here in the Carnatic music idiom is that we absorb so many other elements, yet the basic tenets, the basic principles of Carnatic music remain the same. Only it is just that some shades, some beautiful colors and shades get absorbed through these other systems. While the basic principle of Western music cannot be directly adopted into Carnatic music, we know that because of the fact that ours is a melodic system and theirs is based on harmony. So directly we cannot just implement all the principles of Western music into Carnatic music. But we also see that Sri Tyagarajar or Sri Dikshidhar being influenced by it as seen in the compositions of Tyagarajar, a few of them, like you see Sarasara Samarai or Raminchuvaruvara, or the composition Varali Lagana Lola. And of course, Dikshadhar has composed about 37 Notaswaras, all based on the Western scale. So these are all beautiful examples, I would say, in terms of the influences and the adaptations. And Dikshadhar, of course, had a cosmopolitan outlook, and he was influenced by Western and Hindustani music. And we see that how he has clearly used a major diatonic scale treatment with simple, lively rhythm, eliminating the complexity of gamakam. So when he composed these Notaswaram, the most important thing is that he eliminated all the gamakas and nuances which are typically seen in Shankarabharanam and made it a simple and a very kind of interesting scale. And probably also here we could imagine the kind of compositions that is composed of just 2 lines or 3 lines being the maximum the composition's length. We see that probably also had the idea of creating this composition especially for children. They are singing individually or as choral music. These actually form a great body of work, I would say. The verbal text is in Sanskrit in these songs, and they depict the various gods. That's also something very interesting, where you see that though the Western melody has been adopted, the roots here are that of our own Hindu culture. That is, all the songs depict compositions depict various gods like Ganesha, Devi, Rama, Krishna, Muruga, Hanuman, and so on, thus reflecting the basis of our Hindu culture itself. The straight notes make it easily accessible to the mind and voices of the children. That is also another advantage because of the fact that it's the same Shankarabharanam. If you are to teach Akshaya Linga Vibho or as a Dakshinamurti to a child, it cannot absorb it. But the simple melody devoid of gamakas, the straight notes actually make it very appealing for the children and also easy for them to learn. Finally, I would say that Dikshadhar could be somewhat compared to Shankaracharya and say that he is a Shankaracharya of Carnatic music, in the sense that even as Adi Shankaracharya, he had concepts of Maya and Advaita philosophy which are so profound and baffling even to the most intellectual thinker. For them also it's very difficult to comprehend all this philosophy. But at the same time, he also composed slokas on many gods and goddesses, and also very, something which would be of easily understandable and singable by or chantable by the common man, and also small slokas for children's rendition. So thus we see that while Dikshadhar on one extreme, he composed very lofty compositions in Shankarabharanam, like I mentioned, like Sri Kamalambikaya or the Sri Dakshinamurti or Akshalinga Vibhu on one hand. He also composed these simple songs in the same scale for the use of children. These simple tunes must indeed have been a lot of fun and joy for the composer of the stature of Muthuswami Dikshadhar, where he actually made a mighty ragam like Shankarabharanam seem so simple and straight through his own innovative approach. CM 365, all about Carnatic music.